Yeah. So yeah, Saurabh is here.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I have just made you the. Yeah, now you can do that.
Let me just check my share screen. Yeah. Just one second. Yeah. So hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I have been saying, like the whole purpose of this tutorial is to show you some pretty good set of examples where graph theory comes in to our rescue to solve real world situations. So as some of you have pointed, so you have learned graph theory in discrete maths course, and they are mainly the emphasizes on different structural results. But this is an algorithm course, so we'll be more interested in building algorithms, and so we'll most probably couple of I think at least 1.5 month will be devoted to this. At least 1 month will be devoted for this graph algorithm. So there is a vast literature of this graph algorithm. Yeah. Hello.
Can you please start recording?
Pardon me.
Can you please record this lecture?
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Let me just see.
I
Yeah.
think it's already being recorded, right?
So I've also like
Okay.
started, so I think that won't be a problem. How do you, how do you just go ahead? Yeah. Yeah. So we'll go further. So let's move on. Let's move on. So so basically the main purpose is two parts. Like we'll just give a brief introduction to graphs in case anyone has. So it might be good to brush a little bit brush up of these old learned things, and then we'll see some problems where you can like model using graphs. And so let's so what is basically a graph? So this is a bar chart kind of thing, and this is also another kind of graph thing. But the graphs we'll be considering is not either of them. So we'll be considering a more abstract kind of thing, and that would help us simplify the whole situation. So this will be some sort of graphs as set of vertices and some set of edges, and so vertices are connected by edges among themselves, and and vertices can represent lots of things like cities, people, websites, and all. So and the edges in some sense represent the interconnection between the vertices, the objects that the vertices represents. So this is a typical graph, and we add some edges, and this becomes a graph. And so one beautiful thing is like once we have converted anything to this graph, so we only are interested into seeing this thing more abstractly, and this is a pretty clean picture, right? I mean, maybe it is a small example, but if we have thousands of nodes and lots of interconnected edges, and then it might be difficult to picture it, but it is nonetheless it is pretty easy to work with. uh, so suppose let's start with an example. So am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's start with a very basic example. So this friendship graph, say say in Facebook or Twitter or any kind of this social network. Suppose consider every vertex is a person, right? So there are millions of persons, millions of different accounts, and every person is represented by a vertex. And if the persons are like friends in Facebook, maybe there is an age. Or suppose in Twitter, suppose two persons follow, like then maybe they are connected among themselves. So and so suppose let's consider is in this case of as Facebook. So every person is a vertex, and two persons, if they are friend, they are connected by an edge. So this is probably a sample picture. So of this a small part of this Facebook graph. So an important thing to notice is that there are lots of clusters. So there are lots of click kind of objects. So lots of vertices that are kind of these interconnected among themselves. Maybe so they can in some sense represent different communities. Say this cluster may represent lots of people there who probably say follow the same football club or cricket team or something like that. So taking an analysis of this friendship graph reveal lots of like different dynamics into this social network side. But note that here the one thing is like one person is a friend of another. So this is kind of a reflexive thing. So if A is a friend with B, and then B also becomes a friend with A. But this is not necessarily the case always. Suppose in Twitter, so suppose person A follows person B, but that doesn't necessarily mean that person B will also follow person A. So there is a some sort of a direction. So there is a some sort of issue of a direction in this whole game. So so and that the direction may represent. So suppose there are two vertices A and B representing person A and person B, and suppose person A follows person B, but not the other way. So we'll put an edge from A to B. So indirected A from A to B. So suppose here. So here suppose B follows A, but and D also follows A, but A doesn't follow anybody. So so I think I have a little bit messed up. So A and B both follows each other, but D only follows A, but not the other way around. So there is also this issue of directed graph. Uh, so basically the idea is like graphs can be both undirected and directed as well. So another pretty good example is like this internet graph. So suppose you have moved to a particular web page, and in that web page there are lots of others links to the other websites, right? Now a pretty good thing is to model like every website is a vertex, and suppose website A has some links to website B. For suppose for the case like there is a web page of Fermat's little theorem, and in like Wikipedia, and that page is like referred in hundreds of places, right? So so that web page is directed from all those web pages. So let's see an example. So suppose this web page in Wikipedia is web page A, and all these things are B, C, D, E. So there will be a directed edge from B, C, D, E to A. So the direction, so there is a direction, so there is a issue of direction involved here, right? And corporations like Google, Facebook obviously want to understand how these websites are operating among themselves, and they use something called web crawler kind of thing, and that actually like investigates which pages are like more frequently used. So this is another picture. So again there are lots of kind of cluster kind of things. So and possibly these are in this bottom place there is a white picture. So that kind of actually represents the center node is kind of a pretty well so a web page that is pretty much linked to other web pages. So am I
Yes,
audible?
sir.
Yeah. So let's move on. So till now we have seen like directed graphs and undirected graphs. Undirected graphs for this Facebook graph and directed graph for this web crawler or Twitter or something. But note that all the relations are not always same importance, right? So some relations, some may be more important than the others. So there is a natural associated weight to it. So as we have like modeled these entities using vertices, so we'll add edges and add a associated weight according to their importance. And again, these weighted graphs can be both directed or undirected depending upon what the situation demands. So this is an example of a directed graph, weighted directed graph. So let's move on to like a real world examples. Suppose there is a road network and vertices are cities and edges are the roads like this Amsterdam, Berlin, Brussels. And suppose there is a operator. Suppose I'm a tour operator and I want to design a tour that travels this like some set of cities like Amsterdam, Brussels, Frankfurt, and I want to obviously as a from a business perspective, I obviously want to design a tour that like uses minimum amount of oil and so the to reduce the cost. So basically, I want to find a shortest path kind of thing in this graph. So so the idea is like designing a tour basically reduces to a problem in a of a shortest path algorithm in this graph, right? So is this okay?
Yes.
Or maybe we want to design a network say bus services such that all these nodes are connected, right? So that actually transforms this problem to a spanning tree of this whole set of vertices. Um so basically you will very soon you will learn like these shortest path algorithms like Dijkstra's algorithm, spanning tree algorithms like Kruskal, Prim, and all. So have you studied this either Dijkstra or Kruskal or Prim in your
We
course?
studied prims and crystals.
Okay. So maybe you will learn Dijkstra this time, and there are some couple of other algorithms. I think that would depend upon this. Yeah. So similarly, like road network, we can obviously see as rail connectivity, air connectivity, and vertices are like these airports, and there are suppose there are two airports, and if there are air services between them, so we put an edge. So this is an example of a possible air network. Okay. And so let's move on to other examples like so the point we want to emphasize is like many real world problems can be very efficiently modeled using graphs, and once we model a real world problem into a graph, then things become pretty clean and then we can just work on that particular succinct representation. But this modeling thing is pretty important. But once we model it, it becomes kind of pretty clean and to work with, pretty clean, a pretty clean mathematical object to work with. So so just a small recap. So we have a set of vertices V and set of edges E, and E is basically a pair of vertices UI and VI and VJ, and every edge may or may not be had a weight, has a weight. So if there is no weight, so it is an unweighted graph. So suppose let's regarding these telephone towers. So suppose there are lots of important locations in a city. Suppose some telephone company wants to ensure that all these important locations are at least provided some good internet, maybe 3G, 4G, right? And suppose they have they have done some experiments and they have found out that if they can somehow place a mobile tower within 1 kilometer radius then maybe the internet connection is good. Maybe it's 500 meter or something like that. So basically, so they want to, so being a company, so from their business perspective, they obviously want to reduce their cost and thus want to install as few as telephone towers as possible. But nonetheless, they have to cover all these important locations, right? So one possible good idea, as I think all of you have guessed, is to model this using a graphs. And so so here we'll actually model this both these towers, these new towers T set of towers, as well as these important locations as the vertices. So important locations will be V1 to Vn, and towers will be some T1 to Tk. And if two towers, if two locations are within 1 kilometer, so we'll draw an edge between them, right? This is probably a example, and probably this colored vertices, this pink colored vertices are kind of this this mobile towers. Okay, and so there are edges between two vertices if they are within 1 kilometer or so. Now note that so given any location, say this say location J, it has it is within 1 kilometer from both tower C and both tower E. But so we want to so the company wants to see, is it really necessary to install both these towers C and E? So can they somehow reduce to one, instead of putting two towers, can they reduce it to only one tower and thus reduce the cost? So so basically the objective is to pick a set of red vertices, these important towers, and but we have to also ensure that all these gray colored vertices are at least connected to some of these towers. Otherwise they won't be within 1 kilometer, and they won't get very good internet connectivity, right? uh, so is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah, good. And so basically obviously you want to minimize the number of vertices picked. So one way is to like design it as a set of variables xc, xd, xg, and xc, and we'll assign xc to 1 or 0 depending whether this vertex is chosen or not. But we have to ensure that all vertices have at least one neighbors from this set of vertices. So basically, say for this vertex B, suppose this vertex, this B, so at least one of these neighbors vertices, neighbor tower vertices, say vertex xc, xc, and xd has to be present, right? Otherwise it won't be covered. So for this vertex B, we need at least xb, xc plus xc plus xd, at least one. So at least one of these vertices are like, at least one of these towers is present. So we actually model this. So if a vertex, say vertex B has neighbors D, C, E, then we want at least one of them being present. Maybe multiple is present, but we want to minimize such thing. So we basically enumerate this for all these vertices, B, A, all these vertices, and we want to minimize the xc plus xd plus xg plus xc. So basically this xc plus xd plus xg plus xc basically represents the number of red vertices that we pick, meaning the number of required towers for our case. Okay. So it turns out that we can actually model it like linear programming. So do you know linear programming? Hello?
Only that part which was taught in our class 11 and 12, not in college.
Okay. So I won't go into the I won't go far into this. So basically the idea is like you can model it using an LP and solve the LP. And there is a small little bit issue, like this becomes a integer linear programming, something it will be covered in this course later part. So and then probably we'll solve it using some. Oh, so I didn't know that LP was not covered. So let's skip this part. Yeah. So another issue is like when to schedule meetings. Suppose there is a company and so company has some meeting scheduled, and obviously there is a supposedly a starting time as well as ending time. However, the times of these meetings are not disjoint, meaning they overlap. But if two meetings say overlap, they cannot be placed in the same room, and the company administrator wants to minimize the number of rooms required. So one typical idea is to keep one room for every meeting, but maybe if the timings do not clash for two meetings can be scheduled in the same room, right? So you want to minimize the cost, so they want to have all the meetings. So as it turns out, obviously it can also be modeled using a graph. So every vertex actually represents a meeting, and there is an edge between two vertices if the corresponding meetings have time clash. So so basically the idea is to like when to schedule meetings in different rooms. So if there is a time clash, so basically that represents like when to select minimum number of rooms such that minimum number of vertices such that like there is no edge between them. So let's see an example, and basically we will color the vertices. So so have you seen this like this graph coloring?
So we started off with it, but we didn't go into detail that much.
Oh, okay. So let me spend a little bit time here. So the idea is to like you have a set of vertices and edges. Let the graph be G, and suppose we want to color the vertices using K colors. So basically the colors will be given to this. So every vertex will be assigned one of these K colors. So there will be a function from C V to 1 to K, and the constraint is like we do not want to put same color to the two neighbor vertices. Let's see like so can you see the screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So suppose we color this vertex A, and since we have used this color, we cannot use the same color on vertex B and E. So the constraint is like we do not color vertices using the same color if they are adjacent. So obviously we cannot use B same color, but note that C has no adjacency to A, so we can use the same color. So basically the idea is to like minimize the set of colors used. Similarly, since D is both connected to A and B, we cannot use either of them, so we have to introduce a new color. Similarly for E as well, like E has both neighbors from C, D and D, so we cannot really use another color. But note that F again has no adjacencies with that pink color, and then we can like color it using that. And similarly we can also color G with this blue. So the idea is to like use, so basically for every vertex we will assign, so we have a set of colors present to us, and we will assign colors to vertices with the constraint that no edge will have both its endpoint with the same color. So say for example, if two edges, if two endpoints of a edge are the same color, it is kind of pretty difficult to also distinguish. So let's for example this coloring of a map. So this is kind of a monolithic color, but again we can color it like that as well. So there is this famous so basically have you studied planar graph? Hello.
So,
Hello.
sorry.
Huh?
No,
Pardon?
sir.
No. Okay. Okay. So there is this thing called planar graph. So a graph is planar if it can be drawn in the plane without no edge crisscrossing. So there is this famous theorem, like every planar graph can be colored with 4 colors. So given any political map, so note that in this political map, no every uh, like say West Bengal is adjacent to Jharkhand, Bihar, Meghalaya. So adjacency places cannot be colored with the same color. And this basically turns out to be a planar graph problem. And there is a famous theorem called, I think, 4-color theorem that states like every planar graph can be colored with 4 colors. So yeah, so there is that. So basically note that this like similarly again for so let's go back to this meeting problem. So as we have pointed out, so every meeting can be like modeled using vertex, and if they have a clash in timings, there will be an edge between them. And basically, obviously, we want to use as few rooms as possible. So meaning we have to cover all the vertices, all the meetings, such that there is no clash between them. So a possible technique is to color the graph using minimum number of colors. So basically the colors would represent these different rooms. So if 2 vertices have the same colors, then those 2 meetings can obviously be scheduled in the same room because they are not adjacent, and then there is no clash, right? Is this okay? So if there is any doubt, please feel free to stop me. I mean, there is no problem. I mean, please feel free to stop me if there is any point I am not clear or you have any doubt. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you have any doubt, please feel free to stop me. I mean, there is no problem. So please feel free to, yeah. So note that this like a scheduling a meeting, or suppose scheduling classes in a ISI, say, although this semester is kind of going from online, but suppose some person in dean's office has to like assign all these different courses into different classrooms, but obviously they don't want to use many classrooms. So basically someone has to assign different courses, different classes of different courses into different classrooms, right? So this can also be solved using vertex coloring, right? So basically the point I want to emphasize is like problems that have no resemblance with graphs can be modeled using graphs pretty well. And once actually this scheduling meeting or scheduling classes problem reduces to like this coloring of a graph like this, it becomes pretty what I should say, pretty uh, s- clean to work with this mathematical abstraction. So like this is one possible example. So basically the point I want to make is like problems that have no resemblance to graphs can be like modeled to graphs, and we can pretty well work with it. So yeah, so we'll go for another example. So have you seen matchings, graph matching? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
So have you seen matching?
No, sir.
Oh, okay. So also let me just give a small. Oh, possibly. Oh, sorry. I didn't know. So probably otherwise I would have picked different set of examples. But yeah. So I'll just give a small introduction to this graph matching. So let's start with a problem, simple problem. Suppose there are some students and like we need so, and there is this administrator, and he has to assign students to colleges. Now obviously, like, every student has a set of preferences to colleges, right? And obviously we want to assign as many students to colleges as possible. Similarly, like, the other way around, like, colleges also has preferences over students. uh, Say, suppose there are n students S1 to Sn, and there are n colleges C1 to Cn. So this may not be the same number of, so maybe there are some k number of students and colleges are some m number of students, so there is a typo, I think. Yeah, so we'll change that. And suppose student S1 has choice C1, C2, C4, and so on. So every student has a set of choices, right? And there is an administrator, and he wants to find, is it possible to assign every student to one of their choiced colleges, right? So this is a pretty good example of a real life situation. And it turns out that obviously it can also be, since this is a modeling class, obviously this can also be modeled using a graph. So the idea is to model it as a bipartite graph. Say, for example, this is a possible graph. So on the left, the vertices are these set of students, and on the right, the vertices are on the set of colleges. And there is an edge between some Si and Cj if Cj appears in the choice list of Si. Right? Now, obviously, we want to find, but note that a particular student cannot be assigned to more than one college. Meaning, suppose let's pick a vertex, say S1. It has 3 outgoing edges, C1, C2, and C4, meaning it has 3 choices, college 1, college 2, and college 4. But simultaneously, obviously, he cannot go to 3 colleges. Now, so the idea is to, like, we'll choose only one among them. So for every vertex Si on this left, we'll only choose one edge from its outgoing set of edges, right? So the idea is like, so one possible assignment is like S1 is assigned to C1, S2 is assigned to C3, S3 is assigned to C2, S4 is probably assigned to C5, and probably S5 is not assigned to anything. So basically, obviously, we want to find a maximum set of edges such that no two edge actually share an endpoint. So for simplicity, we are assuming like every college has exactly one vacancies, but it can be modeled differently as well. But let's say like every college has only one empty so empty seat, right? So student S1 can be assigned to C1, and student S2 can be assigned to C3, and S3 can be assigned to C2. Similarly, S4 can be assigned to C5, and so on. Okay, so basically the idea of matching is to like pick a set of edges such that no two edges share an endpoint. So this edge S1 C1 and say S3 C4, they are two edges, but they do not share any endpoint, right? And we want to pick such disjoint set of edges as much as possible. So basically this actually is termed something as maximum matching. So basically assigning students to colleges basically reduces to a problem of this maximum matching in this bipartite graph. And there are a couple of beautiful algorithms for bipartite matching, and I think at least one algorithm will be covered in your course. Maybe not at the very beginning, but in the middle, I think in a month or so, or so, graph will be covered, matching will be covered. Yeah. So and to just move to conclusion, like, so the many problems can be modeled to graph problems, right? And often the problems have no resemblance of graphs, but once we move towards this graph, so once we model a problem to graph, it becomes pretty clean and easy to work with. Graph is kind of an abstraction that is pretty easy to handle, but the real trick is to like model the problems into graphs. So say this scheduling meeting or scheduling classes problem, this actually becomes reduces to a coloring problem, or this assignment of students to colleges, this also reduces to a problem of matching. Yeah, so this is a pretty exciting thing, and there are lots of techniques, and many of them will be covered in the coming weeks. Yeah, so I think this is it. So yeah, so I think I finished before the time. So yeah, maybe 10 minutes before. Yeah. So do you have any doubts regarding this? I mean, please feel free to question. I mean, hello. So yeah, let me just stop this share screen or something. So do you have any doubt? Yeah. Hello. Hello.
No, sir.
Does is there anybody who has any doubt? I mean, hello. Let me just stop the share screen. Yeah. Yeah. So is there anybody who has doubt? I mean, please feel free to stop. I mean, something unclear, something not, maybe I was not audible. Maybe there is some issue of internet connectivity. Anybody? And regarding this matching thing, it will be covered. So don't worry about that. Yeah, it will be covered. You don't have to worry about covering this thing. As the course progresses, it will be covered. Yeah. Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So if yeah, so the also this submission of assignment is also extended, right? I think it is still 19, I think. Yeah. So it has been posted, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
19th.
Yeah. So if you have any doubt, please feel free to like mail me, and yeah, we are available. Maybe in some cases there is some, so if I'm somehow busy, and maybe there will be a day or so late, but we'll reply as soon as possible if you have any doubt.
So assignment notes also, can we ask you?
uh, yeah, I have not seen it, but so can you just ask, maybe if I can answer, then yeah.
Right now, I mean, just if we have any doubts in general.
Okay, okay. So do you have any doubts regarding assignment? Yeah.
Not now, sir.
So if you have any doubt regarding assignment or course material or something, please feel free to mail us. I mean, there is no issue. Yeah. So I think this is it. So the whole point of this tutorial was to like emphasize the fact that graphs are pretty important thing and pretty nicer to work with, and lots of pretty real world examples are can be modeled. Yeah, I hope at least you have a kind of a glimpse to this modeling thing. But there are pretty intricate issues as the uh, problems become more involved also. But yeah, so you don't have to worry about that. So as the course progresses, and we'll see more and more graph theoretic machineries. And so yeah, and yeah. So if there is nobody have any doubt, then probably I'll stop it here. And again, if you have any doubts, please feel free to mail. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, I'm stopping. Yeah.